place that she feels safe, that she feels understood, and yet everything she believed to be true about flowers was not true. I learned about the Dictionary of Flowers when I was 16 years old. I was in a used bookstore in Chico, California, where I was raised. And it was one of those used bookstores with piles and piles and piles of books, and you had to kind of work your way through the aisles and try not to have them fall on you. And I found this very tiny illustrated dictionary by Kate Greenaway, and I was instantly captivated by it. I just loved the fact that something that had been so well known was now virtually unknown, really a secret, especially in the United States. No one has ever heard about it. And it felt so powerful at 16 to have found this secret way of communication. And I went right home and I wrote a poem to my boyfriend by tying flowers on a string with words, and ran all over town looking for different flowers and cutting them from people's gardens. And it was very romantic and very exciting. It's really a turning point in the book when Victoria makes the discovery of the yellow rose. And to tell you the truth, when I started the book, I also did not know that there could be more than one meaning per flower. I had only one dictionary. I thought that the list of flowers was complete and consistent, and that it was a valid method of communication between two people and there wouldn't be a misunderstanding. However, about 3 chapters into writing the book, I discovered that the yellow rose in the beginning of my book was jealousy, and at the end of the book was indiscretion. And I went, wait a minute, I better figure out what the yellow rose really means. So I got another dictionary, and instead of learning what the yellow rose really means, I learned that every flower had multiple definitions in every dictionary, and there were not just a few dictionaries, there were hundreds and hundreds of dictionaries in circulation, all with different meanings. And that really changed the course of the book, and it also changed the course of Victoria's life, because here she was really living on the outskirts of society, very disconnected from humanity, but flowers were the one thing that she understands, the one thing that connects her to the world, the only place that she feels safe, that she feels understood, and yet everything she believed to be true about flowers was not true. Right, and one of the main things I was really interested in exploring with this book is exactly that, the process of, if you've been abandoned, if you've never been loved, how can you then learn to love? And it wasn't, I didn't know the answer to that question when I started the book. I really didn't. But I had almost completely finished writing the novel when a friend of mine, I was telling him about the book, and he's a scientist, he's a biologist, and I said, I was describing the scene when Victoria is wrapping a Moses basket with moss, which means maternal love, and putting her baby inside the basket. And he said, oh, that's such a beautiful image, and it's especially powerful because moss is the only plant that grows without roots. And when he said that, I knew that that's what I was looking for. I didn't even at the time know entirely how or why the symbolism worked. It just felt right. It just instantly was the conclusion to this journey of Victoria's. And now when I think about it, I think the reason that it felt so right for me is it really is the story of, here is a woman who doesn't have anything to draw from. She doesn't have roots. She doesn't have her own mother's love to feel within her heart and pass on to her daughter. And she feels completely incapable of loving her daughter because of that. And it takes the entire book, it takes an entire lifetime of learning about love and emotion and connection before she realizes that she is capable of creating love within herself, separate from her surroundings and separate from whether she is or is not connected to the world. Yes, so my own family is very large. I am married and I have 2 biological children, and we have also taken many other additional children into our home, all teenagers. So when I started writing this book, I had a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old biological children, and I had a 15 and a 17-year-old teenagers living in my house. And we were a big, loud, noisy, loving family, and it taught me very much about learning to love and learning to let go, and it was really a story that I wanted to tell. I think that, at least in the United States, I don't know too much about the French system, but in the United States, the stories we hear about foster care are really polarized. You have the Hollywood glamorous movie about the perfect foster parent that adopts this child and saves their life, or you have the foster child who's just a monster and destroys everything in sight and burns the house down. And I really felt like it did a disservice to the people in the system, both the kids and the adults who are trying to form relationships, trying to form a family. And it's a very complex emotional journey, and I wanted to try to capture that in a novel.